Japan's actions gravely harm China's interests and judicial sovereignty and create new political obstacles to improving China-Japan relations. China demands that Japan immediately ceases with the relevant mistaken methods. If Japan remains obstinately on this course, it must bear the consequences.
The PLA Air Force has learned to handle various kinds of obstructions 3 years after it started to conduct trainings on far seas. We'll continue as always and overcome obstacles we face. No matter who is accompanying the flights, we'll conduct training more often. The PLA Air Force will continue to fulfill its mission and responsibility to protect sovereignty and safety of our country, and to protect peace and development.
Ukraine has released surveillance footage of 2 North Korean spies photographing what they thought were top-secret missile designs. The hidden camera footage from 2011 was given to CNN by Ukrainian security services as Ukraine tries to dispel claims that it gave North Korea designs that were used in the regime's ICBM technology. The video shows Ukrainian agents bursting in and arresting the 2 who are still serving time in Ukraine. The country last year banned all North Korean passport holders from entering. South Korea's defense minister Song Young-moo is scheduled to visit Washington next week to hold talks with his U.S. counterpart on issues related to North Korea. The defense ministry announced Friday that Song will meet with Secretary of Defense James Mattis at the Pentagon next Wednesday to discuss strengthening the alliance and South Korea's security. This will be the first meeting between the 2 as defense chiefs. They plan to discuss various strategies to counter North Korea's threats, including its ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. Song is to return to Seoul on September 1st.
South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa wrapped up talks in Moscow with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. The duo discussed next month's summit in Vladivostok between Presidents Moon Jae-in and Vladimir Putin. While details were yet to be revealed, the top diplomats likely discussed ways to resolve the North Korean nuclear issue peacefully. There's speculation Kang may have brought up trilateral cooperation between Moscow and the 2 Koreas once there's a thaw in icy inter-Korean relations. Russia is one of the few nations in the world that exerts a sizable economic influence on Pyongyang. Total trade volume between the 2 sides in the first half of 2017 jumped nearly 73% on year.
North Korea is showing no sign that it intends to slow down its nuclear program, with its state media calling for the production of more nuclear weapons. A front-page editorial in the state-run Nodong Shinmun declares that the regime should strengthen its defense capabilities by making its nuclear weapons the crux of its military force. The paper says that this should be achieved by producing better, cutting-edge nuclear weapons in greater numbers. This commentary on Friday came as the regime celebrated the 57th anniversary of Sungun, or the military first ideology. Sungun ideology puts the military at the forefront of the state's policies and resources, and its anniversary was made into a national holiday 4 years ago by leader Kim Jong-un.
North Korea is using propaganda as its latest threat, sending out photos supposedly showing a new rocket design. The government also sending a message that it's working on new intercontinental ballistic missiles, more powerful than before, they say, saying when developed, the U.S. East Coast would now be in its sights. Joining me right now, Andrew Peak, a former U.S. Army intelligence officer. Good to have you here, sir. Do you think, Andrew, that there's anything there, or is this just more rhetoric and propaganda coming from North Korea?
Well, I think they certainly need the propaganda. You know, Kim is in a bit of a hole politically and particularly internationally. He was badly embarrassed after backing away from his threats to Guam, and especially after he was isolated at the Security Council when Russia and China voted for sanctions. So I think it is in his interests, both to his domestic base and to some of his adversaries and friends overseas, to indicate to the international community that he has these weapons. And I think given the history of North Korea's missile tests and the accelerated program over the past year, it's quite believable that he has a long-range, solid-fueled weapon.
Okay. Well, didn't President Trump just make it very clear that if you start to threaten us in any way, if we get any more of this, then basically all hell's going to break loose? I mean, so why is he doing it?
Well, absolutely. And I think, frankly, the president's policy has worked on North Korea. We've never seen sanctions like that before. Even the Chinese indicated through state-run media that they would not back up North Korea if the United States attacked its missile program. They sent out very clearly, though subtly. So the North Koreans have to be recognizing this. They know they're in trouble. They know that they are a little bit, unless there's a direct threat to their regime, standing on their own.
Yeah, but why are they doing it? Why have all this messaging that they're trying to send to us? Because it just means more trouble for them, Andrew.
No, but they rely on prestige. Kim stays in power not just through fear, but also through the prestige of kind of a demigod to his people. He was humiliated this past summer,
yes,
both, again, through the sanctions. He was, and to recover from that, he has to look for ways to threaten the U.S., both with pictures of these advanced missiles, but also through more deniable attacks like cyberspace that can screw up U.S. infrastructure without it being directly linked back to North Korea.
Oh, dear. Well, lots of questions about where this goes and how we're going to protect ourselves, because bottom line, we need to protect ourselves. Andrew P., good to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Trish.
Is there a question whether the Navy is facing a readiness crisis, or are they?
I think the military in general is. The Navy is. The Army only has 2 battalions combat ready today. It's a big problem. Part of it is the spending. When we did sequester, we capped what we could spend. And every year we give a pay raise to the military, as we should. They deserve every penny and more. But what that does, it brings up the cost